Hello, welcome to episode 106 of the Epic Film Challenge 2, 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, the 1960 classic Psycho from Alfred Hitchcock. His reputation precedes it, like many of the films in this book, in this challenge, in this series. Psycho, one of the all-time great horror films, or would you call it a thriller? I don't know. I certainly see it as a horror film, and is almost a founding father of the way that horror films are done today, and was a film that pretty much invented the slasher genre that became so huge, particularly in the 70s and 80s. But Hitchcock's Psycho is one of those films that you hear about before you see it. It's one of those films that you kind of know bits and pieces about before you see it. You know about the shower scene, you know about that sting, that ring, you know about the knife. You know, it's just part of the lexicon. And I've seen it before, a few years ago for the first time, and even then I thought, Jesus Christ, it took me too long to see this. But it's really interesting to watch it for a second time. Watched it last night because there is a big twist in it, and I think that I was really intrigued to see how I would react to Psycho the second time around, knowing what happens at the end, knowing the reveal, and watching it for a second time, as far as the twist goes, I was kind of thinking, how did I not see it? And I kind of did, and I'll talk about that later on in the spoiler section of this video. But the second time round, I was surprised how much it had a rewatchability factor, like, because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure whether it was going to be like, oh, well, you know, I can see what's going on, and, you know, it doesn't have the reveal effect at the end, you know, but it still did. I actually found it maybe even more enjoyable. Little bits and pieces there that I think are almost there to reward the viewer for coming back a second time, third time, fourth time. Now the story, all I'm going to say about the story is that it's about a girl called Marion who is having an affair with this man, and he's kind of married, and it's complicated, and, you know, he hasn't got the financial support to give them the life that they want together. And one day in her workplace, she works in the bank, she's presented with the opportunity to steal a hell of a lot of money, a shitload of money, and she decides to do it. $40,000 in her purse, off she goes, and then that's all I'm going to tell you. That's all I'm going to tell you. That's all the hook you need if you haven't seen the film. And like I said, it is a film you must see before you die. The cinematography is great, you know, and not so much the shots that look nice, but just the way that Hitchcock frames everything, and the way that he stages everything. You know, the shower scene, the infamous shower scene, you know. All I need to say is the shower scene. You know what I'm talking about. It is such a masterclass of clever editing, clever camera placement, great performance. You know, it's brilliant. It really is, and it's a film that does a lot without showing you too much. You know, less is more, I guess. And it is also founded on the performances that are so great from Leigh and Anthony Perkins. You know, great story. I love how it kind of just goes against your typical movie plot completely. I love that about it, and watching it for a second time, I just fell in love with it even more. So that's all I'm going to say about Psycho. I've managed to do it in under a few minutes. It's great. You have to see it. That's all there is to it. Now, spoiler talk. So obviously, you know, I mean, who hasn't seen Psycho? But then again, I hadn't a few years ago, so for the benefit of those, I guess. But obviously, you know, Marion, she goes out to the Bates Motel and meets Norman Bates, who runs the place, and his mother, who's screaming and shouting him up from the Bates house. And throughout the film, you get this very odd feeling about Norman Bates, played amazingly well by Anthony Perkins, who, you know, for me, if there was going to be a list of like the top 100 best performances in film history, his name would have to be in there for this film. I think that his performance as Norman Bates is stellar. It is absolutely brilliant. There is such a vulnerability to it. There is such an edge to it. There's a scary, you know, kind of feeling you get from him, kind of an intimidating feeling, but then there's also just a feeling where he seems out of his depth, and it's such a layered, complex performance. He's not this stone-cold killer. He is a deeply disturbed man, a deeply disturbed young man, and that comes across completely. And you know the twist, if you're watching this part, you know, he was behind the killings. It wasn't his mother died 10 years earlier, and he had donned the role of his mother, this kind of schizophrenic half-life he started to live. The only thing I don't like about the film, and I really didn't like it the first time I watched it, this time it was okay, but it's like the 5-minute exposition at the end where the psychiatrist walks in and goes, well, you see, the thing is with Norman Bates, and he just kind of explains the entire psychology of what was going on. And I feel like you could kind of make that up for yourself. I kind of feel like we didn't need that explanation. As far as I'm aware, you could take that scene out of the movie and you would still understand that he was, you know, he'd lost his mind, and he had invented, you know, this life where he was his mother, but it was a schizophrenic kind of thing. I love how Janet Leigh gets killed off an hour into the film. You know, bang, there you go. It feels like she's the main character. I mean, every part of that first, like, 45 minutes, however long it is, the first half of the film, it's all about Marion. It's all about her. The film opens with her, you know, with having this affair with her lover, going to her workplace, going back home, going on the road, falling asleep on the road, buying a new car, getting stopped by the police, going to the Bates Motel, taking a shower. You know, every part of the film is about her. And then she gets killed, and it changes all over again. And you have Vera Miles playing her sister, who comes in with Marion's boyfriend to kind of find out what happened to Marion, because she's disappeared with his money. And another thing I love is the money that she steals. You know, you get why she steals it, and you get everything that's going on through her head with this money. You get that she's scared. You get that she's feeling like she shouldn't have done it. You know, the voiceover in her head as she's imagining the conversations that people are having about what she's done, and that's such a great thematic device, I think, to kind of, because we all do that. We all think in our head, like, what would the people who we know say about us with these certain situations? If we fuck up or something, we think, like, what are they saying about me? You know, back over behind closed doors. You think that, you invent that in your head, and we get that shown in the movie, or, you know, you can hear it. But at no point in the film, does Marion say anything about the money that she's stolen, at all. You don't see her go, I'm going to steal this money. You just see her put it in her purse and stick it into a suitcase, and off she goes. You see that she's scared about it. You know, she doesn't say out loud, like, oh, I shouldn't have stole this. You just get that she feels that by, you know, the little note that she's writing and the conversation she has with Norman Bates. I mean, I just love that. That kind of the plot device with the $40,000. It is never vocalized by her, but you can tell everything that she's thinking about this money and the situation that she's put herself in by just her performance, just the way that she's acting, you know. And the little things that she says in the conversation aren't related to it. Well, they are related to it, I suppose, where she says, like, she's kind of decided that she needs to kind of stop running away from something. But, you know, still, I like how it's never outright said. And man, it still makes me, well, obviously it doesn't make me second guess the ending, but, like, watching it the second time, I was thinking, how did I not clock that, of course, you know, Norman Bates was playing his mother and that he was deranged and stuff. There's just these clues throughout. But then there's a scene where he carries the body downstairs, and I'm thinking, well, wait, wait a minute. Is it too easy? You know, is Hitchcock kind of double swerving me here? Is he trying to make me believe that he's his mother, and that's why he isn't, you know? And so when you get to that ending in the cellar where, you know, Marion's sister finds Mrs. Bates's skeleton, and then Norman Bates runs in with a knife, with the wig and the dress and that wild kind of grin on his face. I mean, I can imagine people laughing at that, unfortunately, but I find it chilling and very disturbing and unhinged to see unfold. And the whole, I love how it turns into a detective story in the second half, you know, and it's all about kind of investigating Norman Bates in a way. Again, that's never outright said, but, you know, that they keep coming back to this Bates Motel, and the investigator goes missing. We see him get killed, things like that. And then the final scene with Norman Bates, another, you know, just a great performance by Anthony Perkins, who I think, I've never seen in anything else. He might have been typecast after this, I don't know. I've still got a lot to learn and a lot of films to see, but I've never seen him or heard of him being in anything. But he did an amazing job in this, of being likable. You kind of have some sort of empathy for him, you know, just a little bit, because of the way he acts, and just, yeah, it's just great performances in this film. Everything across the board. I love how it's in black and white. It looks great, and Hitchcock apparently did that because he thought it would be too gory in colour. And I love how, you know, it's a low-budget film in a way. Hitchcock wanted to make this under $1 million. He said, you know, I've seen all these films that have been put out for a low budget, and they make a huge return, but they're all rubbish. What if one of these low-budget films that make a lot of money was actually good, you know, and I'm going to make it? And he brought over the TV crew from his Alfred Hitchcock Presents series to kind of be the crew for the film. And of course it is based on a novel that was released, I think only about a year before the film came out, and Hitchcock jumped on it to you know, convert it onto the big screen. And so, yeah, it's a departure from what he was doing at that time, more big budget productions, and and things like that. But yeah, I mean, you cast a star, you kill her off halfway through. It's a stroke of genius. I'm not sure if the novel's like that. It might be, but either way, to go through with it in the film was very risky, I think, but it worked and it paid off, and it's a classic and has influenced so many filmmakers and continues to do so, and for good reason. I think that the music is great. The Bernard Herrmann score is fantastic. The title sequence is fantastic. Connie watched it with me the first time. She quite liked it. She saw bits of it as I was watching it last night, and she said, wow, this is a lot better than I remembered. And she said about the title sequence that it was very modern, and it is in a way. That the title sequence is fantastic, and the music and the whole package just works together to make a really great kind of thrilling suspense story. Even if you've seen it before, it still works, and I'm glad to see that it still works, like a film like, say, Fight Club, that has a big twist at the end that changes everything, but you can still watch it and enjoy it because everything else is so strong, and that reveal still holds some water even though you've seen it before. Thank you for watching.